At the top of her career, Gisele Bündchen had everything: fame, money, beauty. She was the most famous model in the world. But one night, she could not breathe. Her heart was racing. Her hands were shaking. She thought, "Am I going to die?" She had a panic attack. Then another. And another. She felt trapped. Even in her own home, she was scared. In her book, she said, "I felt like I couldn't breathe. I thought the only way out was to jump." But she didn't. She chose to fight. She chose to live. That moment changed everything. Gisele's story is not just about fashion. It's about fear, healing, and strength. From a small town in Brazil to the biggest runways in the world, and from darkness to light. Today, we'll tell her full story in simple English. You will practice listening, learn new words, and feel inspired by her courage. If you want to learn English with real stories that touch your heart, like this video and subscribe to our channel. New videos every week to help you grow. Let's begin the journey of a girl who became a legend. Gisele Bündchen was born on July 20, 1980, in a small town called Horizontina, in the south of Brazil. The town was quiet, full of green fields, trees, and farms. Her family was big and full of love. She had 5 sisters, and they all lived together in a simple house. Her mother, Vania, was a bank clerk. Her father, Balder, was a university teacher and writer. Gisele's parents taught her to work hard and be kind. The family had little money, but they had strong values and big dreams. As a child, Gisele loved to play volleyball and run outside. She was full of energy and always smiling. But something made her different. She was very tall. Much taller than the other girls at school. Because of this, other kids sometimes made jokes. They called her names like Olive Oil, a tall, skinny cartoon character. It made Gisele feel strange and sad. "Why am I different?" she asked. She started to feel shy. She tried to hide her body. She didn't think she was pretty. But life had other plans for her. Even if she couldn't see her beauty yet, someone soon would. When Gisele was 13, she was still the tallest girl in school. Her legs were long, and her body was very thin. She stood out everywhere she went. Some classmates laughed at her. They said she looked like a stick. They said she would never be beautiful. These words hurt. Gisele tried to smile, but inside she felt small. She began to think, maybe they are right. Maybe I'm not pretty. But her family never let her give up. Her mother believed in her. "Stand tall," she said. "You are special." One day, her mother had an idea. Let's try something different, she said. She signed Gisele up for a modeling course in a nearby city. Gisele didn't want to be a model. She wanted to play volleyball and be with her sisters. But she trusted her mom, so she said yes. At the modeling course, she learned how to walk with good posture and how to be confident. She still felt shy, but she started to smile more. She was learning to believe in herself, just a little. Then, something unexpected happened. Gisele and her classmates went on a school trip to São Paulo. It was her first time in the big city. The tall buildings, the traffic, the people, everything felt new and exciting. One afternoon, they stopped at a shopping mall. Gisele was hungry, so she bought a Big Mac at McDonald's and sat down to eat. As she was laughing with her friends, a man approached her. He worked for a modeling agency. He looked at her and said, "You should be a model." Gisele froze. She didn't know what to say. The man gave her a business card. "Call us," he said. When she got home, she told her mother everything. Her mother looked at the card. It was from a real agency, Elite Model Management. One of the biggest in Brazil. They called the agency. Soon after, Gisele traveled back to São Paulo for her first photo shoots. She had no experience, but photographers liked her. She had something different. She had energy, movement, and a unique face. Still, many people said no to her. Some said her nose was too big. Others said she didn't look like the perfect model. At that time, most models were very thin and serious. Gisele smiled too much. She had curves. She didn't fit the mold. But Gisele kept going. She worked hard. She listened, she learned, and she practiced every day. Her dream was growing stronger. She wanted to prove she could do it. At age 16, she left Brazil for the first time. She flew to New York City. It was cold. She didn't speak English. She didn't know anyone. She was scared, alone, and far from home. But deep inside, she remembered her mother's words, "Stand tall. You are special." And that's what she did. New York was big, fast, and cold. Gisele felt like a small bird in a huge city. She was only 16. She had a suitcase, a big dream, and almost no English. She learned just a few words, "Hi, thank you, and sorry." She lived in a small apartment with other young models. They shared rooms, cooked simple meals, and walked everywhere. Money was tight. Sometimes, she cried at night. She missed her family. She missed Brazil. She wanted to go home. But every morning, she got up early. She put on her makeup, fixed her hair, and went to castings. Sometimes 10 in one day. Most of the time, the answer was no. You're not the look we want. Your nose is too big. You smile too much. She heard those words again and again. But she didn't stop. In 1997, she flew to Europe. She went to Milan for Fashion Week. It was her first big chance. A casting director liked her and invited her to walk in a show. Gisele was nervous. Her hands were shaking. But when she stepped onto the runway, everything changed. Her walk was strong and full of life. She looked natural and powerful. People noticed her. Soon, more jobs came. She appeared in magazines. Designers asked for her. Fashion shows wanted her. She traveled to Paris, London, Tokyo, and back to New York. In 1998, she got her big break. Alexander McQueen, one of the top designers in the world, needed a model to walk in his show, in the rain. Most girls refused. The floor was slippery, and the clothes were hard to wear. Gisele said yes. She walked the runway in high heels, with water pouring down, wearing only a little top and a long skirt. The crowd was silent. Then, applause. Loud and long. The next day, everyone was talking about her. Who is that Brazilian girl? The fashion world had a new star. That year, Gisele became one of the most requested models in the industry. Her face was on magazine covers. Her name was in newspapers. She was not just a model. She was a sensation. From a small town in Brazil, Gisele had walked into the biggest cities in the world, and she owned the stage. Gisele was now a superstar in the fashion world. She worked with the biggest brands, Chanel, Dolce & Gabbana, Versace, and many more. She was on the cover of Vogue, Elle, and Harper's Bazaar. Her face was everywhere. But fame brought new problems. She traveled almost every day. New York today, Paris tomorrow, Tokyo next week. There was no time to rest. No time to see her family. No time to be alone. She lived in hotel rooms, ate airport food, and smiled in front of cameras, even when she felt tired or sad. Inside, Gisele was struggling. She started to feel afraid. On airplanes, she felt panic. In elevators, she couldn't breathe. She was having anxiety attacks. Her heart would race. Her hands would shake. She thought, something is wrong with me. She went to many doctors. They gave her pills, but nothing helped. The fear came back again and again. She felt like she was losing control. At the same time, people still judged her. Some said, she's just a pretty face. Others said, her success won't last. Gisele tried to ignore them, but the pressure was heavy. In 2003, she made a decision. She stopped taking medicine. She started changing her life. She learned to breathe deeply. She did yoga and meditation. She ate better. She slept more. Slowly, she began to feel calm again. She also made a rule, one job at a time. If she did a photo shoot, she said no to a second one the same day. If she had a runway show, she gave herself time to rest after. Gisele was learning something important, to protect her peace. She also began to speak more in interviews. She talked about mental health. She told her story. Many people listened and felt stronger because of her words. Even at the top, she showed the world, it's okay to feel afraid. What matters is to face it, and grow. As Gisele grew older, she started to think about her future. Modeling had given her fame and money, but she wanted more than cameras and lights. She wanted purpose. She began choosing her jobs more carefully. She said no to things that didn't feel right. She wanted to be proud of her work. She wanted to use her voice for good. Gisele also became a businesswoman. She launched her own line of sandals in Brazil. It was a big success. Later, she created skincare and lingerie brands. Her name was strong, and people trusted her. But business was not her only focus. She cared deeply about the planet. In Brazil, she saw forests disappearing and rivers getting dirty. She wanted to help. So she started working with environmental groups. She planted trees. She gave money to protect the Amazon. She used her fame to speak about climate change and water pollution. Gisele became a goodwill ambassador for the United Nations. She spoke in conferences and visited schools. She showed that beauty means nothing if we don't care for the earth. At the same time, her personal life changed too. In 2006, she met Tom Brady, a famous American football player. They started dating. They laughed, traveled, and built a life together. In 2009, they got married. A few years later, they had 2 children, Benjamin and Vivian. Gisele became a mother. And motherhood changed her deeply. She said it was her most important role. She started working less to spend more time at home. She cooked meals, helped with homework, and read bedtime stories. To her, that was real success. She wrote a book called Lessons: My Path to a Meaningful Life. In it, she shared her fears, mistakes, and dreams. The book became a bestseller. People around the world thanked her for being honest and human. Gisele was no longer just a model. She was a mother, a writer, an activist, and a guide. She had walked on runways, but also walked through pain and come out stronger. Gisele's life seemed perfect. She had a loving husband, 2 beautiful children, and a peaceful home. She practiced yoga, cooked healthy meals, and lived close to nature. But behind the smiles, things were changing. Her husband, Tom Brady, was still playing football. His career took a lot of time and energy. Gisele supported him, but she also had dreams of her own. She wanted him to be more present at home. She wanted balance. In interviews, Gisele said, "I've done my part. Now it's his turn." But change is not always easy. For many years, they tried to make it work. They loved each other, but their paths were moving in different directions. In 2022, after 13 years of marriage, Gisele and Tom decided to separate. It was a hard moment. The world watched. Magazines wrote headlines. But Gisele stayed calm. She focused on her children, her health, and her peace. She said, "We grew apart, but we wish each other the best." There was no drama. No fights in public. Only respect. After the separation, Gisele returned to herself. She spent more time in nature. She traveled to Brazil to visit her family. She continued helping the planet and teaching her children to live with love and kindness. She also went back to work, but on her terms. She did photo shoots and campaigns that inspired her. She worked with brands that matched her values. She chose quality, not quantity. Most of all, she focused on healing. She learned to be alone without feeling lonely. She discovered new strength inside her. And she smiled again, not because everything was perfect, but because she was free. Gisele's life seemed perfect. She had a loving husband, 2 beautiful children, and a peaceful home. She practiced yoga, cooked healthy meals, and lived close to nature. But behind the smiles, things were changing. Her husband, Tom Brady, was still playing football. His career took a lot of time and energy. Gisele supported him, but she also had dreams of her own. She wanted him to be more present at home. She wanted balance. In interviews, Gisele said, "I've done my part. Now it's his turn." But change is not always easy. For many years, they tried to make it work. They loved each other, but their paths were moving in different directions. In 2022, after 13 years of marriage, Gisele and Tom decided to separate. It was a hard moment. The world watched. Magazines wrote headlines. But Gisele stayed calm. She focused on her children, her health, and her peace. She said, "We grew apart, but we wish each other the best." There was no drama. No fights in public. Only respect. After the separation, Gisele returned to herself. She spent more time in nature. She traveled to Brazil to visit her family. She continued helping the planet and teaching her children to live with love and kindness. She also went back to work, but on her terms. She did photo shoots and campaigns that inspired her. She worked with brands that matched her values. She chose quality, not quantity. Most of all, she focused on healing. She learned to be alone without feeling lonely. She discovered new strength inside her. And she smiled again, not because everything was perfect, but because she was free. Gisele had walked on the world's biggest runways. She had worked with famous designers. She had earned millions. But now, her mission was different. She wanted to give back. She used her voice to protect the earth. Gisele remembered the rivers and forests of Brazil from her childhood. She remembered how clean and green everything was. But over time, she saw things change. Trees were cut. Water was polluted. Animals lost their homes. This hurt her heart. So she took action. She started working with environmental groups like the Rainforest Alliance and Projeto Agua Limpa in Brazil. She visited local farms. She helped plant trees. She learned how the land worked and how to care for it. In 2009, the United Nations chose her to be a Goodwill Ambassador for the environment. This was a big honor. Gisele didn't just smile for the camera. She spoke at events. She studied the science. She met with leaders and young people. She said, "We are all connected. When we protect nature, we protect ourselves." Gisele used her fame in a powerful way. Instead of just promoting fashion, she promoted clean water, clean air, and clean living. She supported eco-friendly products. She even built a green home with solar energy and natural materials. In her daily life, Gisele recycled, saved water, and taught her kids to respect the planet. She believed that big change starts with small steps. She also created documentaries and videos to explain environmental problems in simple ways. She wanted people to care, to act, and to hope. People listened, not just because she was famous, but because she was real. She didn't pretend to be perfect. She just wanted to help. And slowly, she became more than a supermodel. She became a leader, a protector, and a true voice for the earth. When people see Gisele Bündchen today, they see success. They see beauty, money, and fame. But they don't always see the full story, the fear, the pressure, and the pain she had to overcome. Gisele was not born confident. She was not born strong. She had to build those things, little by little. As a child, she felt different. As a teen, she was laughed at. As a young model, she was told she wasn't enough. As a woman, she faced fear, anxiety, and heartbreak. But through it all, she never stopped believing in one simple truth: she could grow. She didn't wait for others to believe in her. She learned to believe in herself. When people said no, she said yes to herself. When life felt heavy, she took deep breaths and kept walking. She asked for help when she needed it. She found peace in silence. She chose health over habits. And when she fell, she stood back up. She showed the world that beauty is more than looks. It is the courage to be real, to speak your truth, and to love yourself even in hard moments. Gisele's story is not perfect. It's powerful. Because it shows us that success is not about being lucky. It's about showing up every day. It's about listening to your heart and trusting the journey. She once said, "You are powerful. You are loved. You are free. And now, it's your turn to believe it." Gisele Bündchen's story started in a small town in Brazil, with a shy, tall girl who felt different. But she had a dream. And even when life was hard, she didn't stop. She worked. She learned. She fell. She got back up. She became a supermodel. A mother. A voice for the planet. A symbol of strength. Her story shows us something important: you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be rich or famous. You just need to believe. Believe in your dream. Believe in your voice. Believe in your power to grow. So what about you? What is your dream? Do you want to learn English? Become a writer? A teacher? A leader? A creator? You can do it. Just like Gisele did. Start small. Learn a little every day. Be kind to yourself. Don't let fear stop you. Because you are strong. You are capable. You are enough. And if this story inspired you, like this video and tell us in the comments. What part of Gisele's journey touched you the most? And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more true stories in simple English that help you learn, grow, and feel inspired. Gisele Bündchen is not only a powerful woman, but also a powerful writer. She shares her real journey in her book Lessons, My Path to a Meaningful Life. You can buy it on Amazon through the link in the description or the first pinned comment. Choose the paperback or Kindle version, and learn from her life while practicing your English. By purchasing through our link, you support our channel. Thank you for helping us grow. Do you want to improve your English 20x faster? Whether it's grammar, conversation, or fluency, we have the perfect material for you. Click the link in the description or the first pinned comment and take your English to the next level.